This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show, and in today's episode, I wanted to talk on cheating in school. Now, cheating, I didn't have to do that. That was something, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I was the smartest kid in my class. No, I struggled, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I had to, really study, to have, my, best, muscle memory to try to remember the answers, because the thing is this. I don't consider it cheating if you have to write down the answers and then look at them if you're taking a test or whatever, because if you sit down and think about it, in the real world, this real world that, teachers make it sound so scary, in the real world, there's going to be at times where you are going to have to write down the answers to stuff and then, pull it out later on. Like, let's say, for an example, you're at a job, let's say you have a warehouse job, right? And in order to get inside of this warehouse, you got to type up this combination code, right? So what are you going to do? If you don't remember the code, what are you going to do? You're going to write that code down. Now, in school, for some reason, they teach you that you're not allowed to write this code down. You just got to remember it. No, as I get older, parts of my body stops working, including the brain. So there's going to be moments and times where my brain is like, you know what? We just going to stash this over here and we're going to leave it for later. And then somebody else comes through, they're like, what's this? Well, it doesn't look useful, throws it away. So now I'm trying to sit down and think, what was that combination code? And I'm outside this warehouse and they're like, bro, we got to go to work. Joe, just type up the code. And I'm like, I don't remember the code. So we sitting out there arguing and stuff. And I'm like, bro, we should not be arguing. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, regardless of whatever age you're in, if you have to write down the answers to remember them, it is perfectly fine. Now, let's say if it's a PE class, right? All right, so you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I cheated in PE because I was very, very unathletic. I think now I would do the full mile because there was at one point I was running 5 miles every day. I think now I would do the full mile because I'm more athletic now than I was back in high school. I did cheat in PE. Nah, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I had to sit down and actually remember so what they had us do, we had to run and we could not walk. We had to just straight up just either jog or run 4 laps around this, it was a full-blown track, okay? It was like one of them, tracks, them Olympic tracks. This track was big, okay? So we had to either jog or run. We could not walk, all right? So my thing was this. I'm gonna, just kind of make it seem like, and I think there were at times where, teachers, that I had for PE, they would see that it's like, you did your 4 laps? I'm like, I'm all out of breath, like, yeah. I did my 4. I only did 3. I only did 3 laps. Nah, bro, because like I said, I was unathletic. I wasn't, this kid that was I wasn't like how I am now. Now, yeah, I could probably go around that track and run 4 laps. I wouldn't get the ideal time, but yeah, I was like, I think, yeah, I can run 4. No, because like I said, Nike had me testing out running shoes it was like one running shoe, and yeah, they had me testing it out for some months. And there was at one point I was running 5 miles every day. So high school me, him just trying to run 1 mile, it was a struggle. I'm trying to think how many. Okay, let me look it up because I personally don't believe that it was 1 mile that I was running around that track. So how big is a track field? Okay, so how many laps is a mile? Most outdoor tracks are 400 meters around as measured in lane 1. That's slightly less than 1/4 of a mile. Wait, how many laps is 1 mile on a track? It actually is 4 laps. wow, I was struggling. That mile, it wasn't no mile. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It felt like I was running 5 miles around that track. So, but anyways. But as I got older, it was like, that's what it is. It's like what you have to do. It's like it's all right. So more so, I guess, talking to a kid in school, you just got to practice, and I feel like that's what teachers should be trying to enforce because that's what they'll have us do. So, well, if it's like, because there's this one class I remember where it was like more of a activities PE class, right? So they would have us play like badminton, indoor, outdoor soccer, depending on like the weather conditions, indoor hockey. Then just out of nowhere, we're running a mile. And I'm like, we did no form of practice whatsoever for this mile. So how do you expect me to run a mile just out of nowhere? Just because, and that's where a lot of people, where they seem to think like, oh, well, you're a kid, so you got the energy for it. No, I do not. I do not have the energy for it. I drink multiple Red Bulls and I still don't have energy. So what are you talking about? How do you know my body more than me? I know I can't run no miles. So that's why I'm like, I think if they had it where we practice more, like if we were in some running classes, like if we was in some track, because no, like the thing was this, I was fast when I needed to be, but when it was like some like, I guess, rehearsed running, I guess that's what you would call that and things. Like if you're doing that mile thing, it's like, it's you know where you got to get to, and you know that it's like a time don't really matter. Well, it did matter because they would grade us on our time and things. I'm like, bruh, I'm slow. I can't help it. I'm unathletic. I don't work out like that. I'm slow. So I'm sorry. Maybe if I was an athlete, then I probably would run faster, but I'm not. I'm like, I literally play athlete games because I don't want to be an athlete. So it's like you gotta understand that. So, but anyways, what point was I about to make? I was getting ready to make some point. Regardless, though, I just think that, if we practice more. So I guess like talking on, switching gears, talking to on a different class like science, because I feel like, they give us some sort of practice before we get into a science class. But you guys sit down and think, though, is this kid interested in science? Because if they're not interested in science, then they're going to fail that class. That's a fact, and maybe that kid is like, okay, well, you know what? Let me just pass this class just so I can hurry up and get up out of here and things. Yeah, you might be lucky enough to get one of those kids, but it's not like I'm going to be remembering this stuff in the future. So it's like, why is it? And then if it's like, okay, so like, let's say for an example, if I had a teacher where they was like, okay, 10 years from now, I want you to come in and stuff, and I want you to tell me, all these different things about, what we learned today. I'm writing that stuff down, here's another thing that I'm like, I think that something like that, because there was a teacher that I had, it was a science teacher, and he had a Facebook account or a Facebook page where he kind of like posted the answers or like the studies and stuff. This is what they should be doing, or at least have kids, because like kids be liking to have their phone out, right? So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna have your phone out, you're gonna have your phone out for the right reason. If I'm gonna just say, if I was a teacher, and let's say I'm teaching science, right? So I'm like, I'm definitely like first day of school, once you get, because you know how like you kind of have like that sit down and introduce yourself to the kids and stuff. I definitely tell those kids, I'm like, look, we're going to treat this classroom like a job, all right? So I'm going to like, all right, every week you do a good amount of work or whatever, I'm going to give you an A. I'm like, that's all you have to do. You just got to work, and I'm going to give you an A. If you need to, record or write down the answers, whatever you need to do, because if you sit down and you think about it, if you're working at a job, right? And they're talking, so like, again, with this warehouse job, because I'm trying to think, I don't know, because I've done multiple takes of this podcast episode, so I think I used the warehouse job example or scenario. If I didn't, regardless, anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like, my memory is not all that good. So, but anyways, all right, so let's say you have this job, right, and you need to write down the answers. It's like, okay, hold on, let me say this properly. I'm not going to look in your direction, see you writing down the answers and be like, oh, well, you're not getting paid because you didn't write down the answers. If writing down the answers helps you, then okay. But I'm like, the thing is this, or I'm like, you're going to have to figure out these answers. So I'm going to, of course, teach the class, but you're going to have to figure out these answers. And then when you get I think that's usually how school is. But no, it's just, I feel like teachers, they don't want you looking at the answers when it comes down to taking the test. So like let's say for an example, cafe job, right? And they tell me in the beginning of, like when I start working there. So like, let's say it's a restaurant, right? And they tell me like, yeah, the food inspector comes through and they check all these different things. So here, I'm gonna have you like write down what things you need to work on, or, when the health inspector comes through. So it's like, okay, clean the tables, clean the dishes, make sure everything is straightened out in the refrigerator, all these other different things and stuff. I want them to write that down. And then when it comes time for a test day, you can use those answers. And I'm like, okay, you did the job correctly. Now, I feel like is a proper example of what the real world is like. I'm not going to punish you because of some stuff where it's like, oh, you're writing down the answers. Literally, that is life. Life is about writing down the answers. Because here's the thing. Do you think any of those teachers, do you think they'd be able, just based off of their education level, without using the internet, without using history books, without whatever it is, do you think a teacher, okay, will be able to teach a class without their answers, without writing the answers down? The teachers got to write down the answers. Why can't the kids write down the answers? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, look, when I seen that video of that kid, he was looking at his paper and things, and I'm like, if that's the way for him to remember, bruh, I'm not mad at that kid. I guess I know people will probably be all like, all right, so what would you do if that was your kid and he got caught cheating in class? And I'm like, and I'm like, okay, it really depends. Cause I'm like, and the thing is this, I'm like, I guess I would, just so my kid won't get in trouble, kicked out of school, held back, whatever. Cause I'm like, I want him to have a good record while he's in school and stuff. But I would, help him, be there for him. But at the same time, I'm like, you guys sit down and think. I'm like, well, why does my kid have to cheat? Like, what are you doing in that classroom to where it's like, teaching ain't enough, so he has to write down the answers. I'm saying, you can't put the blame all 100% on that kid. No, that kid, it's like he's struggling, and he's struggling for a reason, and you can't put all that blame on that kid. Me personally, I just feel like that's too much pressure on the kid. I'm like, if it's on some stuff where, hey, it's like however a person want to look at it, you can look at it that way. But I do feel like that it's like, yeah, if a kid got to write down the answers, then I'm like, then the teacher ain't teaching right. And if the teacher was teaching right, then the kid wouldn't have to write down the answers. So I think there was a time I do remember where it was like this, it was some guy, I remember he came to me, he talked about how he was cheating, he cheated his way through college. And I'm like, if you look forward, I feel like, okay, now let me talk on that. If you look forward to let's say you do have a good teacher. They're giving you the answers, they helping you out and all that, but you still want to just cheat just because it's fun. That's a kid that's not going to make it far in life. And I think that's, overall, I remember what this guy was telling me that he was all like, oh yeah, I cheated my way through college, and he was like bragging about it and stuff. And I'm like, it's not anything to brag about. I'm like, no, that's a failed education system. I'm like, no, you failed your education and the education failed you. I'm like, they ain't nothing to brag about or be proud about and stuff. And so then that same guy turned around and tried getting on one of my friends for the college that they was in. I'm like, at least and on top of them on applying themselves while they was in college, they graduated from college. So I'm like, yeah, it's like, bro, you should be the last one talking about somebody's education. You had to cheat your way through your education. All right. So I guess if I could, end this off on a positive note, talking to kids and stuff, if you can get through school without cheating, you got the thing is this, because I feel like there's going to be some teachers out there that don't teach you about practicing and muscle memory and all that stuff. So you got to teach yourself that, and it's like using myself for an example. I feel like that I didn't really have no like nobody to teach me about the internet and stuff. I had to learn that myself. I had to just use that muscle memory to remember, okay, you can't fool around with stuff like on, or you can't post these types of videos on YouTube. So I have to have this muscle memory to remember I can't post those types of videos on YouTube, but I can post these types of videos. This is going to make me money, and this is not going to make me money. This is a place where I can make friends, and this is a place where I can't make friends. This is a place where I can be myself, and then this is a place where I can't be myself. This is a place where I get brand deals, and then this is a place where I don't get brand deals. So it's a lot of like muscle memory and then practice and overall just, applying yourself. But yeah, it's like, and then on top of that, it's like, you have to have a good teacher. And if you don't have a good teacher, then yeah, I think that's what's going to lead to a kid cheating in class and stuff. So I think if I had kids cheating in my class, then I'm like, dang, I will really, especially like on how I feel like I will be a teacher. Cause like I said, I'm like, if you're going to be in my class, we're going to be treating it like a full-time job or even a part-time job, but it's going to be getting treated like a job and stuff. But I feel like even if kids were cheating in my class, then I'm like, dang, man, like, what am I doing as a teacher to where kids feel like they need to cheat in my class? I'm like, nah, I question myself as a teacher. And I'm like, dang, am I like, should I be a teacher and things? Like, nah, man, what's going on? So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, overall, the teacher, it's like, you're going to have to sit down and think to yourself, like, okay, well, how can I get this kid to not cheat? And then that's like, you applying yourself as a teacher and things. But yeah, if that kid feel like they need to write down answers, it's like, if that's what that kid needs to do, then yeah, that kid, he got bad memory. He or she got bad memory. We all do. It gets to that point where, yeah, it's like, and for that kid, just start a little bit younger. So I know people are going, but it's like, yeah, it's elementary. So it's just, I think that it's like, if any point in time in the kid's, education life, yeah, I feel like elementary is definitely a place where it's like teachers and just people need to overall be there for that student. So as the time progresses on, it ain't even on some stuff where he needs to apply himself. He just knows how to do his work by default because he had people that was there for him, that cared about him, and that was helping him out while he was, at a young age in school. He or she was at a young age in school. So yeah, definitely, if I was a elementary teacher, yeah, I'm definitely gonna, kind of like try to be. So for those that watch that TV show, Boys Meet World, there's that one teacher in there, Mr. Feeney. I definitely would try to be like a teacher like him. And I'm like, kind of motivating these kids and helping these kids out. So when they do get to college, then they come back to me and be all like, hey, you was my elementary teacher years ago, and I got through college. I got this good job and all these other different things. That's something that will make me proud and happy that I'm like, I didn't fail that kid. So I think that's a lot of times it's like, you got to sit down. Like if you just taking that job because that's the only job that's available, it's like, yeah, you don't really care too much about it or about the kids. And I'm like, yeah, them kids is going to be failing. But it's like, if you actually care about your job, I don't see how the job can go wrong. So yeah, if you doing the job wrong, there's going to be some wrong things that's happening. But if you doing the job right, there's going to be some right things that's happening. So, and if you doing the job right, but there's something going wrong, then I'm like, yeah, then that's, that's either on that kid or whatever the situation is. But yeah, I just think that, like cheating in school, writing down answers, I don't feel like that is cheating. But I guess maybe some will look at it as cheating. I don't know. But I guess, like, yeah, if it's something that you look forward to, like me, like I say, because when it came down to the mile thing, then it was like, yeah, I was looking forward to cheating in that, just trying to make sure and stuff I don't get caught. If I did get caught, then I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to have to run that extra mile and stuff. But no, like if it's like math, then I'm like, bro, I struggle with numbers. It's like there's so many different numbers, and I'm trying to remember this problem, that problem, this. Yeah, that's too much, man. And so, yeah, I just think that it's one of those things where it's like practice makes perfect, so if it's like, yeah, and if you perfect at your practice, then you're going to be perfect at your test. So, but anyways, and that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Again, if you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. Make sure you subscribe to one of my 50 YouTube channels. I almost said 46 because I've been saying 46 for so long. But make sure you subscribe to one of my 50 YouTube channels. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and Kick at TMossBoss. And make sure you follow my Facebook page at TMossBoss fan page. Also, if you were purchasing any tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It would knock $20 off your first purchase. And if you're purchasing any energy drinks or sleep drinks from Poggers, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock 10% off your next purchase. And if you're purchasing any controller accessories from Fatal Grips, that goes for Wii, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. Yeah, any of those types of controller accessories or analog grips, make sure you go check out Fatal Grips and use my promo code TMossBoss. That will also knock 10% off your next purchase. Thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.